Good afternoon and welcome to Monterey, California at the famed Laguna Seca Raceway with PSR TV's coverage of Round 9 iRacing Drivers World Championship. So far it's been Finland's Gregor Huttu has gone 8 for 8 in an impressive start for this series. And this will bring us to the halfway point, Laguna. It's interesting to note as I bring in my partners here, Chuck Johnson's one of them. I believe that Gonzo Petey and Simon Smith are being helicoptered in as we speak from the Grand Prix Masters race. But it's interesting to note this is where Gregor lost his first iRacing race ever, here at Laguna Seca to Richard Towler. So it should be a good race. Go ahead and bring in my counterparts now, Chuck Johnson, Tom Gonzo Beatty, and Simon Smith. Guys, welcome to the booth.
Hey, Frosty. Looks like we're getting ready to have some fun here at Laguna Seca today.
Hello, Frosty. How are you? We have heard good things about you, that you are sporting a new computer and are joining us on a new fangly piece of modern-day technology.
Well, it's not exactly new, but hopefully it'll do the job. We'll have to check it out. Simon, you guys just got helicoptered in. Glad you guys made it.
Oh, I feel like a little rock star doing gig after gig. Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying a fantastic, well, sporting weekend in general, actually. All going on at once.
Well, since we're on the warm-up lap already, let's go through the lineup real quick. I'll start with the top 5. Gregor Huttu again on pole. This is his 9th pole in a row. Richard Towler 2nd. Sean Purdy 3rd. Ilkka Happila is in the 4th spot with Dom DeHaan in 5th.
In 6th place is Derek Wood. 7th place, Sam Michaels. Ben Cornett, also from Team Redline, in 8th. Jake Sturgis in 9th. Darren Marsh in 10th.
Dion Burgess is currently 11th, with Brad Davies 12, Rael Fowler 13, with Alice Simunek 14, and Daniel Almeida rounds out the top 15.
Looks like Matteo Calistani is in 16th, followed by Mauro Basellier, and then Ryan Murray, Brian Heitkotter, and John Prather in the 20th spot.
21st is Andrea Baldi. Matt Sintel brings up 22nd. George Sandman in 23rd. Florian Goddard 24th. And David Serrois in 25th. We'll finish up the running order here in a minute. Gregor Huttu leads the field down the start-finish straightaway with Richard Towler right on his quarter panel. Richard Towler slides into second. Gregor Huttu takes the green flag in the lead. And there's quite a battle between teammates Ilkka Happila and Sean Purdy as they head into the Andretti hairpin.
And this is much different from the race that Gregor lost his first ever iRacing race at to Richard Towler. I believe that race was a standing start, this one a rolling start, so Gregor getting away clean. Richard, I believe, got the jump on him on that standing start and was able to go on to win the race, so different story here.
So as these drivers hit...
Richard Crozier, sorry, I was just going to say, just started from the pit row at the back, and Luke McLean starts on the very back of the grid, of course, just taking part in the other race, Grand Prix Masters.
It'll definitely be interesting to watch those guys cut up through the field. Richard Crozier started 13th and finished 4th in the Grand Prix Masters event, just a few minutes, and Luke McLean actually took the victory in that race, and Mosport in Canada with the Star Mazda cars. Oh, and Richard Towler looks inside Gregor Huttu in turn 10. Turn 11, check that. And so Gregor Huttu has his hands full with not only Richard Towler, but it looks like Sean Purdy as well.
Most definitely. Those guys almost going 3 wide there.
Oh, and Richard Towler spins out when he touches Sean Purdy coming out of Andretti. Oh, but it looks like he's actually got back in line, maybe right in front of Dom DeHaan.
I didn't lose a whole lot of time. That's just a close race in there. It looked, you know, you expect something like that to happen when you get 3 or 4 cars that close, and looks like they just barely touched, and Richard got the worst of it.
So here we have an interesting development. Gregor Huttu now out in the lead once again, but in second place is teammates from Team Orion, Sean Purdy and Ilkka Happila. as we have a word that there's trouble in the corkscrew. Let's see if we can take a look. See. And so as Gregor Huttu crosses the start-finish line to start lap number 3, this is a 50-lap event. These cars will have a much wider pit window than they have in the past. It looks like there's about a 4-lap window from 22 to 27 or something along those lines.
Actually, I think a pit stop should happen between, I believe, 27, 28, somewhere in there. People probably go as long as that.
Just interestingly, down the back of the field, Luke McLean has already picked off 9 people and is just about to yoink 10th position away from someone. So he's now up into P21 overall.
Sean Purdy and Ilka Happala. Towler trying to crawl his way back up there in the 4th spot. And Gregor Huttu starting to pull away again out in front. We've seen this before. This is a pretty common occurrence. Looking to go 9 for 9.
Yes, and this is halfway point of the season. There are 18 races in this season. 2 of them are going to be throwaways, which is interesting because now the second place or the third place in the championship, Bastian Bartsch, must be calling this one of his throwaway races. Has not actually shown up for this event, but he is in tight with Richard Towler, a fight that only has them 20 points apart. We jump back to a looks like Matteo Calistani from Basselier got, and check that was Daniel Almeida who contacted Matteo Calistani down in turn 1. So let's run through the order here. The top 10, Gregor Huttu, Sean Purdy, Ilka Happala, Richard Towler trying to claw his way back after contact with Sean Purdy 2 laps ago. Dom Duhan, the second team Redline driver, the third team Redline driver, Ben Cornett, looks like he actually just got around Derek Wood as they headed down the start-finish straightaway for 6th place. Derek Wood then slots into 7th. 8th place, Darren March. 9th place, Brad Davies. And 10th place, Ray Alfala.
That's a good position there from Derek Wood. That's the highest I think I've ever seen him run so far in this championship, up in 7.
One thing to look out for, keep one eye on Dion Vergers. Dion Vergers now currently running in 11th place in the number 11 car. Dion Vergers is actually doing very well. He's running 4th in the championship right now, and it's from a string of top 10s. 7 out of these 9 races, or 7 out of the previous 8 racers, check that, Dion Vergers has actually done very well and finished in the top 10. So his points are definitely showing his consistency of staying in the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt, Gonzo. He has put together a very consistent string of races for Dion, and taking a look at him now, and he's done awesome this season. He is definitely, I don't know if you could say overachieved, because he's well known as a great sim racer and a veteran. So he knows how to get it done, and he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to not overdrive the car. So great result from Dion.
We also need to keep track of Dom Duhan, who is in 5th place in the points, currently running 5th place on the track right now in the number 16 Team Redline car. He's in a close fight with Dion Vergers for that 4th spot. There's only 6 points between them, and there's 4 points between the two places. So Dom Duhan, if they finish the way they are right now, they could Dom Duhan could actually take over 4th place from Dion Vergers.
Indeed. So let's just take a quick look down on the order so far. You've got Gregor Huttu that's currently leading by 3.3 seconds from Sean Purdy. Obviously, Ilka Hapler is third, so the two teammates looking quite nicely together, separated by 1.3 seconds. Then you've got your Richard Towler and Dom Doohan. And Richard Crozier's just overtaken somebody because he's cheering about it on the team radio. Ryan Murray, that would be. And that's put him up into position 23 so far, car number 15. So he's slowly carving his way up through the field, is Richard Crozier. Just like what he's done in his previous sprint race in the Grand Prix Masters. So he's obviously putting his savvy to good use here around the Laguna Seca circuit, which has got more of an overtaking opportunity around this track than what you'd have at Mosport.
Just to give you guys a quick update, last lap by for the leader, Gregor Huttu, 111.6. And
wow.
Second and third place, both running in the 112s.
That's unbelievable. The guy is a machine. He can do that the entire race, too. If you take a look at his lap times, I'm taking a look down the lap sheet right now, Frosty. His first lap, 114, 112 for number 2, and that was when he was fighting with Sean Purdy and Richard Towler right there headed into turn 1, so it slowed him down. But every lap beyond that has been the sub-112s, and I expect to see that pretty much for the entire race.
Leader right now working lap number 8. Last lap by at 111.4, so he's definitely not slowing down at all.
Well, I think when you've got the likes of Sean Purdy, Richard Towler, and Ilka Hapala, who's actually carrying the PSR TV logo once again this race, breathing down your neck, you want to make sure you get a good buffer zone, because one little mistake from him, which we've not really seen him have one yet this season, but this is an interesting track that has, and as we see him actually dump his left side tires off there, heading down the hill through turn 10. One little mistake and these guys are going to pounce, and it's going to be very hard to get around guys like Sean Purdy and Richard Towler if they get in front of Gregor.
And right now, looks like Ilka Hapla is trying to hold off a charge from Towler as we're watching it right now on the screen. Ilka Hapla running in the 3rd spot. Team Orion driver, followed by a independent now. Richard Towler used to be with Team Redline. Taking a look out the back of Ilka Hapala's car is Towler trying to close back down. Interesting to note, wondering if he has any damage from that earlier contact with Sean Purdy.
As they head up the hill to the Rahal straight, this is an interesting turn. This is a tricky turn for the drivers. You can take too much curb on both sides of this. I've run this track many times in the Star Mazda. If you go, there's this strange bi-level curb there on the inside that if you take too much of it, you're going to bounce out wide. And if you bounce out wide, you're going through that loose sand, and it's just, there's no saving it at that point. You'll just go up the hill and lose tons of time. Will most likely not go into the wall there unless you really messed up your line, but you're definitely going to lose some time up that steep hill running up to the corkscrew.
Talking of the corkscrew, actually, I'd like to take a look at car number 27, Daniel Almeida, because he's leading a ginormous train which Richard Crozier is gently picking off people as they go. Daniel Almeida in P18 with Milos Mijokovic in 19th. Then Richard Crozier has now moved up into 20th. He's just passed David Seroy, who's the latest man on his hit list. And they're providing some great close action there. And who's that? They've all just come in across. That's Luke McLean, who's made a mistake just ahead of them. And I think they're going to all try and bounce past him down the home straight.
I'll be interested to know what mistake Luke McLean has possibly made. I guess
I was just going to give an update on to everybody out there on Luke. He was up to 15th, and he had just didn't get to qualify because he was finishing up winning the Grand Prix Masters race that was also broadcast here live on PSR TV.
And won a laptop.
He's fallen down a bit.
Yeah, he's taking far too much curb and too much dirt, as they still seem to be doing, kicking up on the way up to the corkscrew. But Richard Crozier there is going... But Richard Crozier just behind them has just picked off Milokovic as well, and it's always down into turn 1 is where he's doing the overtaking.
Oh, man, that's just a crowd of cars to head into that corkscrew. Led by Daniel Almeida there. And I wonder if Luke McLean might be having some adjustment issues. I mean, even the best drivers, and you jump from one car like that after doing a very intense race that he had with in the Grand Prix Masters event, to jump right into a much higher performing car. I think he may, well, I also see a broken front wing on his car, so he may have a damaged suspension. Let me take a look at this.
Just to give you guys an update, too, Gregor Huttu still pulling away out in front, 111.6 last time by. Second, third, and fourth, Sean Purdy, Ilka Happala, and Richard Towler all running 112. So Huttu still pulling away out in front. You guys aren't missing much there.
Yeah, so it does look like Luke McLean has some pretty massive damage on his front left wing. Now, while that doesn't do anything to his car per se, that means he's hit something, and that could have bent his front suspension pretty badly. So I think that's probably where we're looking at the problems with Luke McLean, who doesn't really need this. He's in a tight fight with Darren Marsh. Pardon me. Sorry about that, Frosty. He's in a tight fight with Darren Marsh for points right there. So.
Bundle down into the final turn and then across the home straight, and McLean there was taking half a look, but what he's done is he's compromised his exit, and that is going to allow Richard Crozier to get back alongside as they come pounding down, and that is Crozier down the inside this time. His favoured position has been down the outside into one. That's a smack by McLean and Crozier, and
Ouch.
Crozier is off and into the sand, and that is not where he wants to be, and damage all round, I think, for those two.
Also, looks like Gerd Hoffra. Looks like Gerd Hoffra may have been an inadvertent involved person in that.
Yeah, we're just taking a look at the replay now, I believe, and poor PSR TV car kind of took a beating there.
Aww.
Just to give you guys a quick update, we are working lap 13 for the leader, Gregor Huttu. Probably going to see, I would guess, probably a one-stop strategy, although it's possible to go 2 stops and run lighter on fuel, be a little bit quicker on the lap times, and make 2 stops. But if we are seeing a one-stop strategy, it's a 50-lap race. They can go about 28 laps, so you would expect to see them in somewhere around the halfway point. I think this track is also, just so Simon and Gonzo know, I think this track's also very hard on tires with this car. So it's going to be interesting to see what strategy guys pick. I would suspect they wouldn't go much past halfway, though, on the tires. You're going to lose time, possibly, if the tires start going bad.
One thing to note, Frosty, is that one of the things that could go against them for trying to do a 2-stop strategy is the excessively long pit lane that we have here. It's a very tight entry, and it's a very slow, long pit. A long portion of this of that pit lane is 35 miles an hour, and then even while there's, you're fairly quick to jump up to full speed if you want to, you still have a restricted pit lane all the way down and around past the Andretti hairpin. So, trying to run 2 stops may work against them just for the bogey time that it takes to get in and out.
Absolutely. It's not quite as painful as Watkins, but it is long, and we were just taking a look at Towler and Happala, and now we've gone to, I believe, Darren Marsh and Brad Davies.
Can I just say Brad Davies is my favourite livery?
I thought he played for the Kinks.
Moment.
As we take a look at the Darren Marsh-Brad Davies battle for 8th place. Darren Marsh currently ahead of Brad Davies. Darren Marsh in that light blue number 6 machine. Brad Davies in that black and pink number 25 as they head down the straightaway towards the really hard braking zone. Now this turn 1, this Andretti hairpin is weird. It's a double apex, but it's also sort of a tightening. It's a closing radius turn as it goes through. It gets tighter and tighter and tighter before you have to go to your left to get to turn 3. So it's interesting. I've seen people do it several different ways. I've seen people diamond that corner off, and I've seen people actually take it as a double apex. So it's all a matter of, you can really make up some good time if you take a faster way through that turn than your car ahead of you.
I just wanted to say a few things about Darren Marsh and Brad Davies here. Brad Davies is the black car that we're watching now currently on your screen. He is one of the premier drivers in the Oval Series in iRacing, and obviously at Road as well if he is competing in this series. This is the premier series. These guys all competed a long time to get here within the iRacing service, and this is the top premier series in the world. So Davies, one of the top oval drivers in the world, if not the top. And Darren Marsh is very Dion Vergers-like. He is just very steady, very quick, makes very few mistakes, and he's an amazing talent. So both of these guys have an abundance of talent, and it just goes to show you that if you drop either one of these two guys in a normal server with other drivers, they're going to probably run away with the race. So goes to show the level of talent in this series. These guys run in 8th and 9th right now.
Right, and Darren Marsh currently, like I said earlier, in a tight battle with Luke McLean for 7th place in the points, while Brad Davies is down a little bit further at 15th, kind of by himself in there between Derek Wood, who's in 16th, and Derek Wood in a tight battle with Mauro Baselier. But Brad Davies just behind Matt Sintel by about 33 points.
Just to give you guys an update, too, it looks like Ilka Happala has had some issues, and he has dropped back behind Richard Towler, is now in the 4th spot.
Yeah, as you were talking about the Brad Davies a little while ago, and Darren Marsh, you have to remember Richard Towler, who's right there in 2nd place for the championship of this series, is actually leading the Oval Series by a pretty handy margin. Very, very competitive out here.
Just a quick word. Sorry to interrupt. Just a quick word on a couple of people that have dropped out from the race very recently. Florian Goddard has just retired from the race, and he joins Matteo Calistani, Jake Sturjoys, and Sam Michaels as our 4 retirements so far, with just Silicus and Bisele a lap down so far. So 27 on the lead lap.
It's a tough track, that's for sure. There's some corners that you have to just go for it, corkscrew being one of them, the kink before the corkscrew being another, and there's not a whole lot of places to pass here, so it's easy to have contact and easy to have damage, and it's a shame those guys have had to retire because of it.
So let's jump back, Mr. Director. Take a look at the number 12 and number 15 car, David Serrois and Richard Crozier. Richard Crozier once again started from the pit lane after the green flag, fighting his way back up through the field, is now right behind David Serrois in 19th position as they head down the corkscrew and down towards Rainy Curve and then 10 and 11. Crozier's, he wants that position badly. It looks like he's peeking there quick. How does Simon say, sniffing around the rear?
Well, he won't need to be sniffing around that for too long, because he's right onto the back of the rear rig and he'll pull out. And Crozier's been doing it down the outside, but he's going to fancy the inside this time round, and he's actually pushed the other car up to the outside of the corner, and that's well done there by Crozier, who has been showing some good overtaking chops this evening.
I'm sure David Serrois won't like that. He'll probably try to see if he can't make a retaliation move. David running a little bit further back than we normally see him. It's wonder if he maybe got some possible damage at the start of the race. I know he had some damage in the last race and wasn't too happy with his overall finish. He had to kind of nurse the car home. So David having a rough go of it in the past couple of races here.
David Serrois, a Canadian, also running with Team Orion as well. Teammates to Ilka Happala and some of the 3 or 4 of the other guys out there, Sean Purdy and the likes.
Just up ahead of those, Luke McLean has just overtaken I've forgotten his name, Daniel Almeida, just ahead of them at exactly the same time that Crozier passed Zero. And of course Crozier's busy retaking all these for the second time in a row, because he got ahead of these before his little collision dropped him back behind them all again. So it's second time round for Richard Crozier.
And so Luke McLean probably took a little while for him to get used to nursing his bent car around. I wouldn't be surprised if when we read the recaps on the forums after this race that Luke McLean didn't get together with somebody or have an off and touch the tires and bend that front left suspension. And it's just a matter of relearning. It can be done. It's not fun, but it can be done.
Just to give you guys a quick rundown, it's Gregor Huttu out in front once again, looking to go 9 for 9. Sean Purdy in the second spot. Richard Towler in third. Ilka Happel in fourth. Dom DeHaan up to fifth. Ben Cornett running in the sixth spot. And also wanted to give a shout out to Ben's girlfriend Elke, who is probably watching live right here on PSR TV. And running in behind Ben is Derek Wood, Darren Marsh, and looks like Brad Davies. Dion Burgess again, number 10. So another top 10 looking like for Dion.
Yep, it does look like another top 10 for Dion. Actually, he's still got the fight up there to get with Dom DeHaan to get those points, at least stay with him for the championship. Keep in mind, these guys are really in this for the money. That there's a $10,000 top prize for first, $5,000 for second, $2,500 for third. All sorts of swag prizes back through the field. So these guys are serious. So while it looks like Gregor Huttu is got this championship by the throat, don't think that money won't keep these guys from racing as hard as they can for the rest of the season to try and catch up with them, or at least finish in the top, the top 5 of the season.
We got a battle going on as we jump up to. It looks like Towler has gotten around Sean Purdy now for the second spot. See if Towler can make a dent into Gregor's lead, but right now Gregor's still running in the 111s. These guys are running 112, so chances of that happening is not all that great. You guys are joining us for the first time. This is iRacing's simulated World Championship. This is internet racing, as we're going to take a replay of the pass as Towler goes around the outside of Purdy. Wow, that's impressive. Very Ben Cornett-like.
And we don't know that Towler didn't bend his car even a little bit when he fought with Purdy on lap 2.
That is true. Yeah, just going back to iRacing for a second. This is, if you guys are watching for the first time and wondering what the heck this is simulated racing. These guys are basically connected via the internet at their homes, and much like you would play like a first-person shooter game, all over the world, and they are racing for some major prizes, as you already mentioned, Gonzo.
Yeah, and it really doesn't take but your average PC to run this thing. There's, of course, like a lot of different racing or a lot of different games. You can set up the graphics to optimize for your own computer. All you need is pretty much off-the-shelf wheel and pedals. Go and sign up at iRacing.com if you get a couple of a fairly lengthy, we'd say, contract with them to sign up. It's really inexpensive. It's really more or less expensive than a couple of console games over the course of the year. You can add all of the tracks you want. You can add all the cars you like. Just buy them as you need them. And Richard Towler goes off. I was watching Richard Towler, and he goes off. It looks like just past the corkscrew. I'm not real sure where that is from second place. I apologize if you guys weren't watching that at the same time.
Actually, we're taking a look at some Orion cars, and yeah, Towler has dropped back behind them. Let's see if we can get a replay on that. But Towler, and now we're going to a replay here. Let's check it out.
It looks like Richard Towler just went went wide on turn 9.
Yeah, and just went wide. That was very odd. Just looked like he went straight on there, and I don't know. That was very, very strange. Probably got a tire off to the right, and it just caught him and drug him into the dirt over there. That's probably what happened.
So to finish our thought, you buy the cars you want, and you start as a rookie in lower ranked cars, and you can move yourself up through the ranks. And eventually, if you want to compete with these guys, you certainly can. And a lot of times, these guys will race in lower series. They don't always race in the Pro Series or the Championship Series 7 days a week. So you can really learn from all of these guys. Sim racers are like boaters. They always want to give you information. So check it out at iRacing.com. Join us in our somewhat vibrant community forums. And we'd love to have you along.
Car number 16, Dom Doohan's off the track at the corkscrew, and he's lost tons of positions, as I think that's Derek Wood just diving through. So Dom Doohan has just dropped right down the order.
Absolutely, Simon. It looks like we're going to take a look at it now. It looks like, I don't know, he may be trying to pass a lapped car. Is that Darren Marsh? Hard to see.
Yeah, that's Marsh.
Corkscrew and just lost it coming down the corkscrew. Just car got loose and he was off. Doesn't look like he got any damage from it though.
And so he drops from 6 to 8 there. As we see somebody coming out of the pits. We are within a pit window. That's a podium assault car coming out there in the Andretti hairpin.
Okay, we're working lap 24. Pit stop starting to happen. You're going to see if Gregor's going to come into the pits.
Yeah, we should pay attention to that because he can get into the pits without us knowing it.
He is sneaky.
But
one thing to note real quick, Dion Vergers and Dom Doohan are now 8th and 9th on the track, and those guys are fighting tooth and nail for 4th place in the championship points right now. Somebody is around in the corkscrew. It looked like Dom Doohan had to slow way down.
Like maybe Darren
That
Marsh.
is Darren Marsh. So Darren Marsh out of 7th place spins around coming down the corkscrew.
Yeah, taking a look at the replay now.
Lodi's still there. He's trying to pick the right moment to spin turn back round when there's other cars not coming his way. But poor Lodi there was having a good battle until then with some of the other backmarkers.
Sorry, Simon, I didn't mean to interrupt. We were just taking a look at the replay there. It looks like Dom actually got into Darren, and that is what caused Darren to spin. Dom with maybe a little bit of a overzealous type pass there, got into the back of Darren, and your car's already light coming down that hill, so it doesn't take much more than a tap to spin you around.
Well, I'm fairly sure that Dom Doohan is seeing red here. He went off a little earlier and dropped back a couple of places, so now he's fighting hard. So Dom Doohan in the 7th position now with Dion Vergers, the top 10 Mr. Consistency, in 8th, right behind him on the racetrack. And that's a fight we should pay attention to.
I was going to mention earlier that it looked like Gregor had actually slowed down. He did a 111.9, but this past lap by he did a 111.6, so I guess he's fine.
Well, fast lap the race also from Gregor Huttu is a 111.3 just 4 laps ago. Pretty amazing stuff.
Taking a look at another car spinning coming down the corkscrew, very similar to what we saw earlier. It's very easy to do.
It was Jan Zilikas who lost it in the corkscrew, and we've lost Brad Davies altogether, so that brings our retirements up to 5 now.
Yeah, Towler went off earlier and lost a position to Ilka, I believe. And Towler is actually in the pits now from 4th position. So let's see how this is going to play out over the next few laps as timing and scoring resets things. As Ben Cornett comes by the pits past Richard Towler.
Yeah, I'm sure things are going to jumble around a bit here, but right now the running order: Gregor Huttu, Sean Purdy, Ilka Happala, Ben Cornett, Richard Towler now as Ben goes past in the pits. Derek Wood, Dom DeHaan, Dion Vergers, and Darren Marsh. Brian Heitkotter now up into the 10th spot.
So let's jump up to the leader, Gregor Huttu, see if he actually pits this time by. Does not look like he has, so Gregor Huttu is going to take it 28 laps, unless, of course, he snuck into the pits and we weren't looking.
I've been trying to watch. I haven't seen it. Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
I don't know how he did that in Sebring, and we just completely missed his pit stop.
Like Happel into the pits now.
So it looks like Team Orion has some pretty good pecking order here. They've got everything all figured out ahead of time. So let's talk about this big team, Team Orion, which is really a team that carries a bunch of cars into this World Championship. Frosty, you're a member and in charge over there. So let's talk about some of the strategies that these teams, how this team sort of approaches this championship.
Yeah, we got 4 cars currently running. We're all doing pretty well. David's had some rough luck. He's just outside the top 10, but. So we're taking a look at some guys pitting here. It looks like Huttu into the pits now.
And Sandman right in front of him.
We did not miss it this time. But those guys are working really well together. Very proud of them. They're doing a good job. Actually, a couple more guys qualified for it, but we decided not to run, myself being one and Peter Reed another. So, yeah, we're doing well. We're very happy with how we're doing so far. Wish
so
we could
do you guys
find
have
some speed to have something for Gregor, but I think everybody else feels the same.
Yeah, you can try all the time, so do you guys get together into hosted online practice sessions, and do you get your own team speak and sort of chat amongst each other during the race?
Actually, we were watching Gregor come back onto the track, and yes and no. The time differences, obviously, for a lot of teams makes it difficult. They do a good job of sharing. We have a kind of a private forum that we share information on. And they do a good job of sharing information there as far as what's been tested, and that's what a lot of teams do. Sometimes they'll either join a session, or they'll just take a setup that somebody else has been working on and make tweaks to it. And that's the advantage of being on a team is that you can take a setup from somebody else and make your own tweaks, and then give it back, and you go back and forth until you guys find something that really works well.
And is there a good-natured rivalry between, or even a bad-natured rivalry between those guys?
On our team, no. Is that what you meant, or other teams?
Yeah, your team specifically.
No. I mean, I think they all want to help each other and all want to see each other do well. When we get out there, obviously every man for himself. Try not to take each other out. But other than that, it's just racing. We are on board with Hallard, chasing both of these two guys as we're speaking about them.
So as it looks like they cycled through the pits, let's run through the pecking order here. Still at the top, Gregor Huttu after the first stop. Sean Purdy from Team Orion in second. Third place, another Team Orion driver, Ilka Happala, in third. That's good result for Team Orion so far. Richard Towler right on the tail of Ilka Happala right now in fourth place. Ben Cornett, the second Team Orion car, back a little bit, about 9 seconds in fifth. Derek Wood in sixth. Dion Vergers doing fantastic. Once again, it looks like he's going to finish a top 10 this week in 7th place. Ray Alfala in 8th, Daniel Almeida in 9th, and Darren Marsh in 10th.
Just to continue down the order there, Dom Doohan is in 11, with Brian Heitcott at 12.
Looks like Doohan actually just took 10th, didn't it?
Yeah, he's just yoinked past Brian Heitcotter and Daniel Almeida there. Alice Simulek down to 13. In fact, it was Daniel Almeida that's in the pits, I think, and is dropping down the order as John Prather takes him. Andrea Baldi 16. George Sandman is the first laps guy in 17, with Milokovic 18. David Seroy a lap down 19, and Ian Lake 20. With Ryan Murray, Richard Crozier back down to 22nd currently at the moment, so it's not quite worked out for him pit stop wise. Mario Bisegli is 23rd. Matt Santel 24, with Gerd Hoffer at 25. Alexandre Portes in 26, Tim Holgate 27, Jan Zilikas now recovered from his spin at the corkscrew 28, 2 laps down is Enzo Lordi with his big backwards moment, and he's the last runner, 29 still going out of the 34 that started.
We're taking a look, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there, Simon, taking a look at Dom DeHaan, or as I, wait, maybe we've switched. Nope, yep, Jason Darren Marsh. That would be a battle for 9th and 10th as we are on board with Dom now as they're coming up to the front straightaway.
And Darren Marsh in 7th place, Dom Duhan in 5th in the championship points as they stand right now. Dom Duhan really needs to get up there and get in front of Dion Vergers, which is 2 cars ahead of this battle. Dom Duhan probably still driving while seeing red after going off a couple of times. Not having the race that he normally does, as Team Redline really isn't having the race that they normally do after 4 of the top 5 of last 2 weeks ago.
Sure, part of that obviously is Luke McLean is a big part of that, and he started in the back, now up to 13th, and it looks like John Prather is going to be the next on Gregor Huttu's radar as far as lapping, and then after that would be Luke McLean, so to see if Gregor is going to lap his own teammate here. Obviously, it's a tough job going from one race right to another for Luke.
And back to that point, Bastian Barch, one of the other Team Redline drivers, is dropping this week in the championship. So this is Team Orion right there to step up, where Team Redline slips down just a little bit.
Yeah, Bastian's probably running in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, I'm sure. Right now taking a look at Towler, who is hounding 2 Orion cars of Ilka Happel and Sean Purdy, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, as we're taking a look at 4th place Richard Towler.
Sponsored by Simsport.com.
Ryan Murray doing a good job of getting out of the way there. Team Podium Assault as these guys are coming through. This is a very freight train type of track. It's very difficult to pass. So you see a lot of training going around here. That had sounded wrong.
That's another big team, Team Podium Assault, who's got, like, I believe 9 members, but I don't know how many of them actually make the race this time. Let's see if
Quite
I
a few
can
of them.
find
Ryan
it.
Heitcotter, let's see, George Sandman, Ryan Murray, Ian Lake, maybe some more. Matt Sintel, I know, is on that team as well.
Tim Holgate, I believe, is also on that team.
That is correct.
I have to say the last place that I'd want to encounter any lap traffic is at that dreaded corkscrew, because there is such a speed differential that you can go into it because it's so blind that you will quite easily find yourself at a scene of an accident quicker than you can blink.
And more to that point, as you come out of the number 6 turn and head up the Ray Hall straight there, you have to get a good exit, certainly even back at turn 4 and 5 to get that momentum to get up that hill, because you really can make up a lot of time headed up that hill, but you really have to have a pair of attachments that are quite large to try and make that pass just as you head into that corkscrew. But a lot of times, if I've been past there so many times I can't even count, somebody sneaks down the inside, and I think I'd rather just live to fight another day there, because it's just not the kind of place to really take on a fight with somebody. Tell that to Alex Zanardi, who did it back in the old Champ Car days.
We're taking a look still here at Ilka Happel running. Oh, sorry, Simon. I was just going to say, we're taking a look at Happel running in 3rd, and these guys all running low 112s now, so they've picked up the pace a bit. Huttu still running in the 111s, but these guys last lap by all 112.1s.
Gregor Huttu stuck behind John Prather for about 3/4 of a lap there. I thought he was going to make a little lunge down into the corkscrew and thought better of it, but then stayed behind Prather all the way until turn 1. So Huttu biding his time, and discretion is the better part of valour, as I was trying to say earlier on, and Huttu's got a 16.9 second advantage over Sean Purdy, so he can afford to take his time around this lap traffic, because if you're going to come together or make a mistake around here, it's going to be big, because you can't have a small off here at Laguna Seca.
And both of these guys, both Ilka Happela and Sean Purdy, could do very well by this race just to stay into the top 5 from their points standpoint, as we see Richard Towler try and get around Ilka Happela into turn. And Ilka goes sideways, and Richard takes the place easily out of turn 5. It looks like Ilka may have dived in just a little deep. Ilka is going to jump back to third. Jump back to 4th behind Richard Towler. Oh, and that was just a little mistake by him.
Yeah, just way too deep into that corner. It's like for Ilka. Nice save, though. He had another nice save at Road Atlanta that we missed on the broadcast, but it's pretty impressive. So Ilka with another nice save here.
Oh, but look at him take the place right back again in turn 11. Wonder what happened there. It looks like Richard Towler really just gave him the place back. I seriously doubt what was the case, but it was really odd. So anyway, the way it pans out, it looks like Gregor Huttu still in the lead, Sean Purdy in second, Richard Towler in third, I believe. So as we ride with Ryan Murray from Team Podium Assault, as he tails the number 12 car of David Serrois, another Team Orion driver. Wow. Oh, ouch. Ryan Murray goes in really deep in turn 11. Pays the price for that by going wide out there into the bumpy stuff. Oh, that was a kamikaze move by Ryan Murray, the leader of Team Podium Assault. So while we have a minute here, let's see if we can't jump on board a car and take a lap or two. Step aside and let you guys watch what it's like to go around this Laguna Seca track.
Currently taking a look at David Serrois here. As he is trying to come back from a rough start to this race. Looks like he's chasing Daniel Almeida. With, I believe that's Ian Lake right behind him. Bit of an onboard look here. This is a battle for 17th, 18th, and 19th. Daniel Almeida running in the 17th spot. All these guys one lap down to the leader. Currently there are only 12 cars on the lead lap. Luke McLean is the last car on the lead lap, and he is just right in front of his teammate Gregor Huttu.
Poor Daniel Almeida has had a train of cars behind him the entire race, and David Serrois has been on the back of that train the entire race, as other people have been negotiating Almeida. And just into the corner that they're coming into, I was just looking in the chat room, and Paul, I completely agree with what you're saying, although those cars haven't done it. The amount of people that are going wide on that corner and kicking up dust, on this one that they're going through now, as you can see people behind doing it, I'm really surprised that a lot of people haven't caught their tyres and spun out, as a certain Serrois, they're taking a mini look at Almeida into the corkscrew, but a kind of half-hearted effort there.
Yeah, that'd be a tough place to try to make a pass for sure. It's we've seen Dom DeHaan had some issues earlier with Darren Marsh trying to make a pass there. It's just really difficult to make a clean pass there, and usually ends up not turning out well. So,
and one thing to note that I picked up from my chat with Richard Towler earlier this week, this is a max downforce track, so you're really not at the point where you can sort of capitalize, and with no really super long straightaway, while the front straightaway is relatively long. You're running full downforce, and you don't really have that difference that you see at places like Road Atlanta, where you would have a big discrepancy between the low downforce cars and the high downforce cars. You don't see that here because all of these cars really are maxed out in their downforce.
And to talk a little bit about that too, I know that our team has noticed that the Redline guys have really figured out probably what just as important as the downforce on these cars is also the rake. You know, the amount of the front end of the car basically compared to the back end of the car and how high it is. And we're guessing maybe they found something there, but their cars on the straightaways are just unbelievadly fast. It's almost like they just have more horsepower.
Are you talking about ride height adjustment? Is that where you're going with that, or are you talking like caster and that adjustment?
Well, we really haven't figured it out. There's something that they're doing that is obviously giving them more speed at the end of the straights, and it's just a guess, but that does make a big difference in these cars, is the rake. So I don't know. They've definitely got it figured out, though, and it doesn't hurt having Gregor Huttu on your team, that's for sure.
Maybe they should do some kind of big setup open forum so that they can actually post some of maybe their old setups for races that they're not actually going to be using anymore, so that other people could learn and see what other people's setups can do and learn little bits about the car. I think that'd be quite good to get other people that maybe have got raw talent and raw speed but just don't have the setup savvy about them, maybe giving them a little bit more chance to get towards the front end of the field.
Sure, and Redline and Orion both do that as well, but when you come to a series like this where first, second, and third are paying out pretty big cash money, it's probably going to be the end of the season before you see any of these guys' setups posted online.
And I've driven a couple of setups. Both Dom Duhan and Gregor Huttu, I raced against a couple of times over at Racer, and they would always post their setups, and holy Toledo, it's unbelievable how loose they set their setups for. And I wonder if their setup is based more on controller differences or what they can do with the controller adjustments, and not, or maybe just in lieu of adjustments with the car. I mean, the car you can do so much with, but if you start with your controller and have different setups there, I wonder if they've got an advantage there with those Fanatic Club Sport pedals and wheel.
In my opinion, guys, though, it's just come down to it's just talent. It's talent and time that you spend. There's so many guys using different controllers, different pedals. As long as the controllers and pedals that you have work decently well, as we're riding on board with Towler, it's like
right. And I'm not saying that their pedals, that because their pedals and wheel are better or more expensive, then that makes them faster. No, I'm saying that the adjustments within that controller or within any controller, once you get used to it or once you get it to a certain point, I wonder if that, if their car is like super loose, but their controller gives them better control of it. That was where I was going with that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't hurt to have a controller with high, I guess, linearity or what's the word I'm looking for here?
Resolution.
Basically, rate. You're looking at a scale, maybe it has more points on the scale to be more accurate, but really what it boils down to is it's just talent and it's time that you spend. It looks like we're on board here with Darren Marsh, who is, I believe, running in. Where's Darren?
He's P9. Rael Fowler that's just up ahead, and these two have been gradually closing up. They've only got Dom Duhan behind them that's still on the lead lap. Just 10 cars on the lead lap currently at the moment, as they are on lap 42 of 50, so coming into the closing stages now. And Rael Fowler has got about 7 laps to keep Darren Marsh behind him if he wants to keep that 8th position.
A good run for Ray too. Ray is another iRacing driver who is, or actually just a driver who's very well known for his oval talents as well as his road talents, and he is having one of his better races of the season, I believe.
Looks like we've lost Alexandra Portes, who's disconnected, so that brings our retirements up to 6 now. 28 still running.
that would be Ray Alfala's first top 10 of the entire season so far, sitting 29th in the championship now, with 6 race starts and no top 10s to speak of. So if he can keep Darren Marsh behind him, it'll be his best finish.
Yeah, I believe Ray is he's a college student. I think he's a little more focused on the oval side of things, so this would be a great result for him, as we are taking a look at a helicopter view of Darren chasing him down, and it's going to be tough to pass. We've only got about 6 laps left to go, as Huttu is working lap 44, and only 10 cars on the lead lap left.
And luckily, there's a lot of good passing zones in this track. Turn 1, turn 11, turn 5. And even the corkscrew, like I said earlier, if you have the guts to pull it off, or if you can pull out of turn 6 well enough to get up that hill. Right here, actually, where they're going through. So as they circulate around lap number 44, the top 5 are Gregor Huttu, Sean Purdy, Richard Towler, Ilka Happala, and Ben Cornett now up there in the top 5. With Derek Wurr, Dion Vergers, the top 10 machine, up to 7th place, now ahead of Dom Duhan. So that's a fantastic result. If Dion can make this stick for the day, will continue his massive string of top 10 finishes to 8 top 10s of the 9 races, and maintain 4th position, actually widen that gap to Dom Duhan in 5th.
Yeah, probably take a look at the rest of the field here. Running in the 6th spot, Derek Wood would be a great result for him. He is a extremely fast driver who has had some trouble this season as well, but very talented guy. Running in the 6th spot, Dion Vergers in 7th, Ray Alfala 8th, Darren Marsh is in 9th, Dom Duhan is in 10th.
And it looks like we watch Darren Marsh and Ray Alfala. Wow, they're getting together. They are really duking it out there. It looked like Marsh was
right up behind him.
Yeah, that was. Look at that, and Darren Marsh through the corkscrew. It looked like he stuck his nose in right there before in turn 6, and that's the leader, Gregor Huttu, nosing in behind him. He's got to be careful.
So it's Alfala, Marsh, and Dom Duhan, and you can see Huttu there in the distance about to catch a lot of them, and Marsh there trying to go into he was taking too much of a tight angle into that corner, and if he was going to try and make that move, he was only going to smack Alfala, slam into the side pod and ruin both of their evenings of entertainment, and Duhan would have collected 8th place overall. And yes, as the trio of them continue round, let's see, Marsh once again, he seems to be taking a lot more speed into the corners and then maybe compromising himself a little bit too much on the exit as Alfala goes
Alfala, he's off. And I think he just took too much curb there. We'll see on the replay. Hang on just a minute while PSR TV will back up the replay and take a look at that.
So that is P8 now for Darren Marsh. Duhan moves up into P9, courtesy of not having to do anything, and Alfala slips down to 10. Here's the replay.
Yeah, we're taking a look at the replay here. Alfala going into this corner. And I think you're right, Gonzo just got a little bit too much of the inside of that curb. The car got unsettled. He did a good job of saving it, but lost 2 spots in the process. So still a good run for Ray. He's got a shot at a top 10 here, which would be a good result for him.
Yeah, it looks like when he got it, he sort of realized really quickly and straightened the wheel out. If he had kept his wheel turned right there, I believe he would have spun around as we actually see Dom Duhan overtake him now down the start-finish straightaway.
Actually, I think that was Huttu going by him.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Thank you very much. From my bird's-eye chopper cam view, it's a little difficult to tell who's who. Yep, number 3. That's Gregor Huttu. But it looks like his wheel went off there just a little bit, and he realized, well, this is not going to end well. So he straightened his wheel out and saved the car quite well. So congratulations to Alfala on that.
We're watching, now we're going to take a look at Towler looking on the inside of Sean Purdy.
Well, that's going to be a good fight. Looks like Sean is not going to... Oh, that was a bad line for Sean. Let's see if Towler can get him on the exit here. He's got much more speed, and this turn is interesting. You can do this turn flat out if your car's set up for it.
Sean was very nice there. He gave him a lot of room. He could have could have pinched him off down low and got a better run coming out of the corner. Sean was really nice right there. He may not have completely known where Richard was either, and that could have been a big part of it.
And I think Sean Purdy realizes what's at stake here. Sean has not really had a fantastic season, so he's got to get some good results going. I mean, he's doing pretty well. He's got 5 top 10s of 7 stars, but he dropped down 1 position last week to Luke McLean. And Sean Purdy really needs a good result, so I think to go from second to third is not going to hurt his feelings too terribly much.
Yeah, I think you'll definitely see Sean up there close to the top 6 by the end of the season. He's had some bad races that he needs to drop, and he's missed one due to living in Canada and the internet not being good. Taking a look at Duhan, who's gotten past Darren Marsh, I believe.
I actually don't know if that's the case or not. I'm going to take a look. I know Darren Marsh is still ahead of him.
Oh, yeah, actually, Darren spread it out.
They come plunging down that hill. If you ever get a chance to run this car at this track, or even the Star Mazda cars are fantastic at this track. You know, when you come down that hill, it is just an amazing, amazing run of these cars. I really, really enjoy this track, and a lot of people do. So it looks like Gregor Huttu still out in the lead, but coming up behind that fight that we were just looking at, the Darren Marsh-Dom Duhan race. And let's just for fun take a look at what Gregor Huttu's laps are. Yep, that's what I figured. 3 laps ago was his fast lap at a 1:11.21 on lap number 45. So Gregor Huttu really has no ability to slow down and pace himself. Just runs flat out all the time. I think he has slowed down a little bit here. 112s and 113s just to let this Duhan fight pan out.
I think Gregor actually drove out the womb. He wasn't delivered.
I think part of what what makes Gregor so great actually is that he is able to drive at a very high level and not be completely on his limit, and that's I think the separating factor between him and everybody else.
With 1 to go, I'll agree, and one of the things that separates the really good drivers, I think, from some of the other drivers as far as the racecraft goes, and I think Gregor Huttu is the highest example of racecraft, is not losing your concentration over the course of the race. All of us have gone. You know, you get through, especially a long race, like a 50-lap race at Laguna Seca. When you start, it just seems like an eternity, and your eyes begin to glaze over on lap 30, and, you know, where am I supposed to be braking? You start second-guessing yourself, and I believe Gregor Huttu has the ability to put that behind him and really never make the mistakes that a lot of us make when we start second-guessing ourselves.
Yeah, speaking of putting behind him, he is coming down the corkscrew on his final lap here, I believe, to put this race behind him as well. It's going to go 9 for 9, Gregor Huttu.
Yep, you are correct there. And as they come into turn number 11, Gregor Huttu, the Finnish sensation, will do that. Pole to green flag to checkered flag. Gregor Huttu now goes 9 for 9. And is really running away with this championship. Richard Towler, with Sean Purdy in tow, looks like he is going to finish second.
Yeah,
as they come in,
out a bit.
They come into turn number 11. Richard Towler, yes, Richard Towler will take second. Team Orion, Sean Purdy takes third. Ilka Happala runs across the start-finish stripe in fourth as we wait for Ben Cornett to come around turn 11. Looks like Derek Wood will take 6th place. Dion Vergers continues his massive string of top 10 finishes. Will finish in 7th. It's an amazing season for Dion Vergers. out of nowhere, Dion Vergers comes and finishes 8 out of the first 9 races in the top 10. Darren Marsh crosses the stripe in 8th, Dom Duhan in 9th, and Ray Alfala is the first lap car down, who's already finished in 10th.
Just to finish off that rundown of the order then, Luke McLean, 11th place, saying that his hands are killing him, probably because he's been doing far too much racing in one evening. Brian Heitkotter ended up 12th, with John Prather 13th. So that's a good improvement there for John Prather. Alice Simonette 14, Andrea Boldy will be pleased with him 15th in the end. George Sandman, who's just been busy congratulating Gregor, came home 16th, with Daniel Almeida, with the Almeida train behind him the whole race in 17th. David Seroy did not get past in 18th, and Ian Lake was busy watching the pair of them in 19th. Richard Crozier only climbed as far as 20th. It looked like he was going to go a lot higher than that earlier on, but it just wasn't to be. Ryan Murray was 21st, with Milos Mijokovic 22nd. Matt Santel 23rd, 2 laps adrift, with Mauro Bisegli also 2 laps down in 24, with Gerd Hoffer 25, Tim Holgate 26, and then Jan Zilikas 27, with Enzo Lodi, the final finisher, 3 laps down in 28.
Well, gentlemen, another one in the books. Nicely done.
Unbelievable result here for Gregor, 9 for 9. You gotta wonder, is he going to lose a race all season? This is the track where he first lost his first ever iRacing race to Richard Towler, so you thought maybe there was a shot here, especially with the track being so tight, narrow. Would have been easy to get caught up in lap traffic, but no, Gregor again runs away with it.
So as we round out this broadcast for the day, everybody definitely go check out iRacing.com, PSRTV.com as well. You can watch the replay of this race. It will be in high quality and in low quality. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on Facebook. Make sure you tune in 2 weeks for the next race. I apologize for not having the schedule in front of me.
Be Brands Hatch.
It'll be... Definitely check out the iRacing, the NASCAR.com iRacing World Championship for the Oval in New Hampshire on Tuesday night here at PSR TV. So once again, we bring Dom Duhan into the booth with us.
Hey, Gonzo. How are you?
I'm good, Dom. How are you? So tell us about your race.
Rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. It was like England versus USA. You know, full of what ifs. Should have done better.
That was great.
We should have won. You keep it down. We should have won. We should have won the football, and I should have. I don't know what I was doing. I was just having a bad night.
Well, you did have a couple of offs there, and we saw you in a couple of tight battles, certainly with Darren Marsh, and you were actually up there with Dion Vergers at one time. Tell us what was going on. Did you get together with somebody earlier and bend your car?
Well, I think I was running 5th until about lap 18 or so, or lap 20. I can't even remember. And then I think I just made a small mistake and just spun it and managed to go into the fence backwards, and luckily didn't do that much suspension damage. And then when I came out, I was behind Darren and Derek, and I'm just having a few problems with my brakes at the moment, and I went into the corkscrew too hot and basically clipped Darren. And we both got a bit of damage, and then that was the story of the race. Really, it was kind of moving backward, and then I was just following Darren towards.
Now you guys have just gone to load cells, right? Is that the getting used to learning curve that you're on?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've always driven with travel brake. I'm sure you guys know what that is. The G25, Speed 7s, etc. They're based on the travel system. Now the load cell depends on how much pressure you put on. So it's a new way of kind of thinking in terms of braking. And when you're trying to balance the car, it's just a little difficult to get used to. I do think it has its benefits once you get used to it. I can definitely brake smoother and kind of brake later. It's just on kind of trail braking, which is the sim racer's favorite, that I have issues.
So is Gregor on the same setup? Is he load cell as well?
Gregor's the man. He can drive everything. I mean,
well, yeah.
yeah.
You don't have to tell us
let's
that.
face it. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, he's on that as well.
Now, while we're talking about your teammates, Bastian Barch didn't show up. Third in the points championship. Not here for this race.
Yeah, broken wheel. I mean, Gregor could probably drive on the keyboard, but not all of us can. And Bastian will be back for the next race, so I hope to see him there because it's quite a big one to miss.
And so Brands Hatch is coming up. How do you see that playing out? Now this is the long Grand Prix track, right, and not the IndyCar track.
Oh really? Have they changed it? I mean,
well, I don't know.
So.
It might be the IndyCar track.
Tom.
Frosty, do you know?
It's the Indy.
I believe the
track.
next one is the full track. The Brands Hatch Indy isn't until later in the season, round 16.
Oh, right. Thank God Frosty knows what he's talking about for a change. That would be a good challenge. A lot of real high-speed corners. So if you're following people, it's going to be really difficult. You're going to get understeer following somebody, or you're going to be really unsighted. And like Laguna, you have to get yourself into a rhythm because you have to hit every single apex. Otherwise, you're just going to go wide, and going wide on these tracks is an absolute killer.
One more question, real quick, about setup. Let's talk about the Team Redline's direction of their setup. I mean, are you guys? Is there some adjustment that you guys are secretive to, or you guys are on to that really does the car better than some of the other, that you can help some of us that aren't quite as fast as you guys sort of understand?
I don't know. I mean, the main thing is you've got to get a setup that feels good for you. I mean, you need it reasonably balanced, and this is why I like the Dallara, because a good fast setup is often one of the most balanced, whereas in the other cars, the faster setups are really unbalanced, so you've got to drive a bit differently. But in what we do is we often use the base of someone's setup on the forum. We take one of them and we just adjust it to our style. Obviously, we look at things like wings for shorter tracks or longer tracks, and we look at tire pressures, very important, and we look at camber and things like that. But we don't deviate too much from the setups you can get on the forum. And just
you know what? As another sim racer, Dom, I could have gone all day without knowing that little bit of information.
Okay, well,
you can go get a setup offline and be this incredibly fast. Well, congratulations to the rest of the team. You and Luke. And Luke actually just won the Grand Prix Masters event just before this. So another good day for Team Redline.
Fantastic for Luke as well. Really good, and he did well to come back as well in this race. So good news all round. Good news. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for stopping by, Dom. Come back and see us after the Brands Hatch race.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thanks. I'm sorry, I would have had more questions for you. I was just checking the World Cup scores.
Oh, you're evil.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Bye.
All right, gentlemen. So, on any closing thoughts?
Roll on Brands Hatch.
That's going to be a fun track.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that one. This has been a great day of racing here at iRacing. 2 races in a row. I think we could work on that a little more often, couldn't we? It was pretty enjoyable.
My only closing thought is we're halfway through an 18-round series, and Gregor Huttu is not lost. Can he be perfect?
He's not even put a wheel wrong. And so on that note, thank you very much to Ian and Seth Bushing, Frosty St. Clair, PJ, Simon, on behalf of the entire Chuck. Forgot about Chuck. Sorry about that, Chuck. On behalf of the entire PSR TV crew, tune in 2 weeks to watch these guys battle it out at Brands Hatch. Tune in Tuesday to watch the Oval Boys at the NASCAR.com Oval Championship Series at Loudon, New Hampshire. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.